My cola factory stood in the French concession. On the surface, it was just a soda business, but the entire factory was a smokescreen. This huge water demand hid my real objective, a modern military complex buried deep underground. I landed in Great Qian's final days and awakened a multiverse travel system. My mission: restore Huaxia and erase its humiliation. Modern blueprints and equipment would be sent to me. Before the Judchen naval battle began, I would raise my own iron army. But before that grand plan could even begin, I was already about to be beheaded at Kaishiku, inside the death row of the Great Qian capital. I huddled in a corner covered in moldy straw, feeling the cold wind seep into my tattered hoodie. The jailer threw down a bowl of yellowed last meal, telling me I'd be dragged to Kaishiku tomorrow to be cut in half. I stared at that last meal, feeling as if the bones had been sucked out of my body. On what grounds are you cutting me in half? What crime have I committed? The jailer snorted coldly. The higher-ups have spoken. You Q-less rebel, you have no braid, and you wear these bizarre, demonic clothes. You can't provide a proper origin. You're either a rebel traitor or a Japanese spy. After the torture, you still refuse to confess. Then we can only grant you this final blow. This bowl even has some meat in it. Don't let it go to waste. The jailer kicked the bars and turned to leave. I stared blankly at that half bun, filled with utter despair. The night before, I was still working overtime in my 2036 office. After a sudden, violent bout of dizziness, I arrived in the winter of the 43rd year of Great Qian. Next year is the year of Judchen. That naval battle, the Beiyang fleet was annihilated, and the nation's fate collapsed. Indemnities of 200 million taels of silver became the fuel for the industrial takeoff of the great powers. I cannot let this happen. I gripped the dry straw on the ground tightly. A fire ignited in my heart. Even if I die, I must leave some mark of change. I originally wanted to go to Weihaiwei to tell the generals about the flaws in the defense line and overthrow this corrupt court, but reality gave me a resounding slap in the face. I landed right in the capital. With a modern hoodie and short hair, I became a symbol of treason. The authorities decided I was neither an overseas Chinese nor a foreigner, making me a Q-less rebel, more dangerous than any foreigner. How ironic. I gave a self-deprecating, bitter smile, spending my life writing code in the 21st century, only to end up unable to save my own life here. Hello, host. Dimensional crossing successful. Spacetime order anchor established. The voice resonated directly in my consciousness. Multiverse spacetime gate system activated. Current level LV1. Rewarding host with one basic spacetime gate. My palm grew slightly warm. A bright white light seeped out. The light converged into a palm-sized, pale blue miniature vortex, hovering in the center of my palm. I stared intently at the gate in my hand. On the other side of the gate, I could faintly see a glimpse of another world. I tentatively extended a finger toward the vortex. A weak suction carried a strange warmth. Through the rift, I faintly saw smooth concrete and the glow of streetlights. That was the dragon country of the 21st century. My breathing quickened. I pulled the vortex outward with all my might. The vortex didn't budge, fixed at a maximum diameter of 10 centimeters. I froze. This palm-sized gate was far too small to crawl through. Despair surged back into my heart. I subconsciously reached for my pocket. My fingertips touched my phone, which had long since run out of battery. The vortex in my palm suddenly flickered. The phone screen lit up. Battery full. 5G signal full. The time showed 2036. The phone had connected to the modern network via the spacetime gate. Trembling, I dialed 3 digits. Ring, ring, ring. Hello, Dragon Country 110 Command Center. How may we help you? A steady, powerful male voice came through. My eyes stung, and tears splashed onto the screen. Officer, I've traveled through time. Please save me. I clutched the microphone tightly. Sir, please stop joking. This is the 110 emergency line. If you do not have an emergency, please do not occupy public resources. I'm not joking. I frantically clawed at the wall. My name is Fang Yu. My ID number is. I work at a company called Starlight Technology. I was working overtime last night and took a nap. When I woke up, I was in a death cell in the Qian dynasty. I am currently in the 43rd year of Great Qian. They are going to cut me in half tomorrow at noon. I really have traveled through time. Please believe me. Dispatcher Old Lu frowned. The computer showed the location. In a piece of abandoned wasteland in the East District of Imperial City. Mr. Fong, I've checked your number's location. Your current location is Wasteland number 3 in the East District of Imperial City, not some death cell in the Qian dynasty. Making a malicious false report to 110 is illegal. You will face administrative detention. If you are in trouble, please explain truthfully. Stop making up plots from time travel novels. If there is nothing else, I will hang up this call. My heart sank to the bottom. How could any sane person believe me? I've been robbed. I screamed at the top of my lungs. Old Lu stopped. What's the situation? Please describe the suspect's characteristics in detail and your exact current location. Are you injured? They have knives. They've trapped me here. They could kill me at any moment. Right where you've located me. Wasteland number 3 in the East District of Imperial City. Hurry up. If you're too late, you'll only be collecting my corpse. I could only keep lying based on the location. Keep the line open. Find a safe place to hide. I'll dispatch officers immediately. Old Lu quickly entered the report and called the patrol. East District Unit 03. Please respond. Unit 03 receiving. Go ahead. Suspected armed robbery at Wasteland number 3. Caller is highly agitated. Claims their life is under threat. Coordinates sent to the vehicle terminal. Please proceed immediately to verify. Unit 03 understood. Arriving shortly. Arrived on site. The police car drove into the muddy wasteland. 2 officers stepped out with high-intensity flashlights to search. Command Center. Unit 03 has arrived at the designated coordinates. Situation unclear. Search in progress. Old Lee, the team leader, swept the area with his light. There was nothing around but rubble and weeds. All units, maintain vigilance and spread out in a fan formation. After 10 minutes of searching, everything was in plain sight. Command Center, Unit 03 reporting. Carpet search of the target area complete. No caller found. No trace of any suspects found. Preliminary determination. False alarm or location deviation. Inside the command center, Old Lu stared at the red dot. The positioning system is normal. Coordinates show no deviation. The caller is still on the line. Strange wind and the sound of clashing chains can be heard in the background. Please double check. Old Lee sighed. In the middle of the night, probably some drunk rich kid playing a prank. He turned and walked toward the police car, but out of the corner of his eye, he caught a faint blue light floating in midair, appearing behind some broken bricks. Old Lee instinctively gripped his gear. Xiao Wang, secure the brick pile to the front left. Shine the flashlight over there. A translucent vortex floated above the brick pile, emitting a blue fluorescence. Old Lee slowly approached and turned off the flashlight. Through that water-like barrier, he saw damp, moss-covered gray brick walls, rusty iron chains, and a young man in tattered clothes, his face smeared with blood, gripping a phone with a glowing screen, speaking into the phone in terror and despair. Old Lee's flashlight slipped and hit the ground. He stared intently at the blue light in the air, looking at the dark cell inside and me. Command Center. Old Lee pressed the walkie-talkie. This is Car 03. Anomaly found at Wasteland number 3. Go ahead. The positioning was correct. I see him, but he's not on the wasteland. Or rather, he's inside a glowing hole on the wasteland. Inside is an ancient prison. I can see Qian Dynasty jailers. What he said is likely true. At this moment, I heard a voice coming from the other side of the door. Through the vortex, I saw modern police and flashing patrol cars. Officer, I pressed my face against the brick, tears streaming down. You're finally here. Inside the command hall, Old Lu reacted immediately to the live feed. Car 03, seal off the scene. No one is to approach the anomaly. Keep the video recording running. He switched communication channels. Fang Yu, listen, don't hang up. Stay calm. I am the dispatcher from the Imperial City 110 Command Center. You are temporarily safe now. Rest assured, the state machinery has begun to move. We will definitely save you. Okay. I won't hang up. I gripped the phone tightly. Old Lu picked up the red direct line on the desk and pressed the button. 20 minutes later, the wasteland was completely sealed. Armored vehicles and special agents surrounded the area. Chu Jiangwo, head of the National Security Bureau, strode to the vortex. He took the communicator. Hello, Fang Yu. I am Chu Jiangwo, head of the National Security Bureau. Now, every single detail before and after your crossing. Recount it again, word for word. Be careful not to omit anything. The heavy weight in my heart finally lifted. I detailed the crossing and the system. Physicists from the Academy of Sciences rushed in with equipment. Soon, 2 reports were delivered to Chu Jiangwo. Report. Identity verified. Fang Yu, male, 23 years old. Junior architect at Xingmong Technology. Mysterious disappearance while working overtime 3 days ago. Surveillance shows he never left his workstation. Vanished into thin air in a fraction of a second of screen flicker. Social ties and growth trajectory match perfectly. The sweating old Yuan pointed at the waveform. Chief, we can confirm this space-time gate. It's not a holographic projection or a visual illusion. It's a phenomenon that our current physics system cannot explain at all, a spatial folding phenomenon. There's a minute difference in the gravitational constant on both sides. It indeed connects to a real physical world, and the air composition is highly consistent with Earth's. Only the industrial dust content is extremely low. Chu Jiangwo closed the report, his gaze deep. I must save him. That's the baseline. More importantly, as long as he's alive, the gate exists. The value behind it is immeasurable. If the state can send blueprints and weapons through this gate, it could help the Dragon Nation of that era win the naval wars and erase a century of humiliation. Once the channel expands, modern terrifying industrial capacity and military tech would be a total dimensional strike. By then, Global resources of that era will open to the Dragon Nation, perhaps even becoming a Noah's Ark for civilization. Immediately establish a top-level task force. Codename Fang Yu. Chu Jiangwo ordered his assistant. Notify the military. Mobilize a combined arms battalion. Enter the wasteland with heavy weaponry. Combat engineers. Enter the site immediately. Build a permanent underground base around these coordinates. After giving the orders, Chu Jiangwo turned around. His gaze returned to the pale blue vortex in the air. On this side of the vortex, I was still curled up in a moldy pile of straw, gripping the phone as the screen dimmed. Chu Jiangwo crouched down to be at eye level with me. Fang Yu, what do you need most right now? Gear, medicine, or food? As long as the size fits through this gate, the state will send it to you immediately. I looked up sharply, my cracked lips trembling. A gun. Give me a gun with a silencer. And ammo. A chainsaw would be best. The kind that can be squeezed through this gate. A mini chainsaw or hydraulic shears. I need to break these iron bars and shackles. Tomorrow they're dragging me to the marketplace to be cut in half. I must fight my way out before dawn. I spoke faster and faster. My nails scraped the wall with a piercing sound. Chu Jiangwo looked at the iron bars and my tattered hoodie. I can give you weapons. Whether it's a suppressed pistol, high-explosive grenades, or Kevlar body armor. As long as it fits through this 10-centimeter passage. I'll have someone get it immediately, but no chainsaw. Even with micro-cutting equipment, the noise would immediately attract all the jailers. More importantly, I don't recommend a violent breakout. I froze. Why? This is the imperial capital in the 43rd year of the Qin dynasty. Though the Qin government's grip is slipping, but the Nine Gates Admiral's office and the infantry commander's office still hold absolute power. They have organized Green Standard Army and 8 Banners troops, and even the Shinji camp equipped with modern firearms. Chu Jiangwo pointed to the light screen. You are alone. You've had no special ops training. Even if I give you a miniature armory, if you charge out of that cell alone, you'll be surrounded by hundreds of guns and bows instantly. Under that kind of fire density, you won't escape. The color drained from my face instantly, slumped on the muddy ground. He's right, I'm just a programmer. Even with a gun, I can't beat an army. Then what do? Am I just supposed to wait here for death? Covered my face. Don't panic. Since the state has accepted this, they won't just watch you die. Chu Jiangwo turned to his assistant. Call the history department of Kyoto University. Bring in Professor Zhao, the specialist in Qin dynasty penal systems. Make it fast. Use a helicopter. Half an hour later, Professor Zhao Bowen, the leading authority on Qin dynasty prisons, was flown into the scene by helicopter. He was still furious about his door being kicked in the middle of the night. Director Chu, what kind of state secret requires my attention right now? I have 2 classes tomorrow morning. Chu Jiangwo stepped aside to reveal the vortex. Zhao Bowen leaned closer to the light screen, his complaints dying in his throat. Through the barrier, he saw me. He saw the wooden cages and exorcism charms from the ancient texts. Trembling violently, he fell to his knees on a pile of broken bricks, his face almost touching the light screen. This is the death row of the Shuntian prefecture. This is a pure Qin dynasty rammed earth structure. That jailer's uniform, it's exactly the style of the Guangxu era. Chu Jiangwo pulled him up. Professor Zhao, now is not the time for research. Once the portal expands, you can apply to stay there for 6 months if you want. Right now, our man is inside. Tomorrow at the autumn execution, he'll be cut in half at the waist. I need you, in the shortest time possible, to come up with a bloodless strategy to get him out of that death row. Zhao Bowen forced himself to look at me. Rescuing someone from death row. What did he do? He's been labeled a rebel and a traitor. No background, no relatives. Completely alone. Zhao Bowen frowned, pacing back and forth. In the Qin dynasty, that's an unpardonable crime. Plus, he has no power, no influence, no roots. To boost their performance records, the Shuntian prefecture, or to curry favor with their superiors, will definitely make this an ironclad case. Legal routes, like overturning the verdict or finding a guarantor, are impossible. And there's no time left. He stopped walking. He's essentially a dead man in there. Hearing this, the hope that had just ignited in me vanished again. The sound of the night watchman's clapper echoed from afar. It's the 3rd watch. Only a few hours left until the execution. Zhao Bowen suddenly slapped his thigh. There's only one way left to try. Slaughtering the white duck. This was a slang term in late Qing prisons, or called the scapegoat. Zhao Bowen quickly explained. Judicial corruption in the mid to late Qin dynasty was extreme. When the rich and powerful committed capital crimes, or when local officials wanted to close a case, they would pay desperate, impoverished peasants to take the place of the real death row inmate and face the blade. These poor souls were called white ducks. Such things were common in the Shuntian Prefecture prison. As long as the money was enough, the jailers, magistrates, and even the presiding judge could all be bribed. Once the blade fell at the execution ground, a seal would be placed on the identification document, and the matter would be settled.
Chu Jianggu understood.
You mean using money to crush them, letting the jailer find a scapegoat to take the hit? Zhao Bowen's expression turned grave. But the risk is immense. Normally, slaughtering the white duck is arranged by the inmate's family on the outside, using cold hard cash to bribe the right people. Fang Yu is currently locked in the cell. He can only deal directly with the jailer. He leaned toward the light screen, looking at me. The jailers in there are demons who devour people whole. If you produce a large sum of money now, their most likely reaction won't be to help you, but to rob you blind and send you to the guillotine anyway. After all, dead men tell no tales. A chill ran down my spine. I had ignored the greed of low-level jailers in a feudal society. We can provide him with wealth beyond his era, gold, jewelry, or even modern glass beads. Chu Jiangwo looked at Zhao Bowen. The problem is, how do we guarantee that the jailer, after taking the money, will actually do the job? There is no guarantee. This is a gamble. It all depends on whether the jailer's greed outweighs his fear. If he craves more future wealth, he might risk the arrangement. If he only cares about immediate gain, the first bit of money Fang Yu offers will be his death warrant. Chu Jiangwo's face darkened as he turned to the screen. Fang Yu, I'm here. I scrambled up from the ground, pressing my face against the bars. Get ready. Chu Jiangwo took a gold bar from the bag handed over by the special agent. We're going all in. When that jailer comes back, use this gold to knock on the door. We'll tell you what to say. Remember, your life now depends on your silver tongue. I took the heavy gold bar from Chu Jiangwo's hand. My mind raced. Chief, do you have one of those guns that shoots electricity? Chu Jiangwo frowned slightly. A gun that shoots electricity? You mean a taser? Yes. I swallowed hard. If you have one, please give it to me. Also, a miniature high-intensity flashlight. And could I have a few Snickers bars? What do you need those for? No time to explain, just give me the stuff. I have a plan. I stared intently at the end of the prison corridor. Faint footsteps echoed from there. Fine. Just a moment. Very quickly, the taser, the flashlight, and the Snickers were pushed through the vortex. What is he planning to do? Chu Jiangwo lowered his voice, watching me hide the taser and grip the flashlight. Rather than leaving my fate to others, I'd rather take a gamble myself. Chu Jiangwo's expression shifted. He pressed both hands against the edge of the light screen. Fang Yu, don't do anything rash. I ignored him. I suddenly stood up and walked to the wooden bars. I pulled out the gold bar and threw it through the gap with all my might. The gold bar flew across the corridor, landing precisely in the empty cell opposite. You're insane. Professor Zhao's eyes nearly popped out of his head. I didn't even look across. I turned and began slamming the wooden bars frantically, screaming at the top of my lungs. On the other side of the screen, Chu Jiangwo and Zhao Bowen were baffled by my illogical behavior. They watched, holding their breath. The footsteps at the end of the hall suddenly quickened. The jailer rushed over with a baton, his face full of malice. Who's wailing? What the hell are you doing in the middle of the night? He raised the baton and swung it violently toward my fingers. I didn't dodge. My right hand shot through the bars and slammed the strobe switch of the high-intensity flashlight. A blast of 10,000 lumens. In the pitch-black dungeon of 1893, it was like a miniature sun exploding. The jailer let out a scream. His baton clattered to the floor. Clutching his eyes, he slammed hard against the wall. My eyes! He writhed in agony on the ground. What kind of damn sorcery is this? Just wait until my eyes heal. I'll kill you. I switched off the flashlight and stuffed it in my pocket. Hands behind my back, spine straight. Hold your hand. Cleared my throat. My voice carrying a carefully crafted, ethereal majesty. The jailer thought he'd been struck by divine retribution. Groaning on the floor, afraid to open his eyes, I looked down at him. I am, in truth, an immortal, descended from the heavens to undergo a mortal trial. The jailer froze, straining to listen. Seeing that you have shown me the kindness of a single meal today, I spoke slowly and deliberately. I have come to grant you a great fortune. 5 minutes passed. The jailer's vision slowly returned. He looked at me, trembling with fear, but he was a seasoned veteran of the streets. Playing God, he spat out bloody saliva, forcing himself to be brave. If you were truly an immortal descended to earth, how could you be arrested by the officers of the Shuntian Prefecture? Locked in this death row awaiting waist chopping? He picked up his baton and pointed it at me. If you're really a damn god, he rapped on the wooden bars. Then prove it to me. I gave a contemptuous smile. Very well. I nodded, my gaze arrogant. Since it has come to this, I shall demonstrate. Since you mortals love gold above all else. I raised my right hand and traced a semicircle in the air. I shall conjure some for you. I pointed theatrically toward the empty cell opposite. The gold has already been conjured. I withdrew my hand. Go and get it yourself. The jailer stood frozen. Greed finally overcame fear. He leaned into the opposite cell to look inside. There was nothing. You dare play me? Just as he was about to lash out, I coldly uttered a single word. Deal. The jailer gritted his teeth and crouched. He reached out and fumbled blindly through the straw. His fingers touched something cold and hard. He snatched it out. By the light of the torch, it was a solid gold bar, as thick as 2 fingers, reflecting a dazzling, mesmerizing luster. This is real gold. Old Sun held the gold bar with trembling hands. He bit it hard. The tooth mark was clear. It was pure gold. This single bar was worth 10 years of his salary. He swallowed hard. A death row prisoner couldn't possibly hide a gold bar. It was as if it had appeared out of thin air. He remembered that terrifying light from before. You truly are an immortal descended to earth. Old Sun's knees buckled, and he fell to the floor, hands behind my back, spine straight. You have the gold in your hand and still doubt me? This humble one was blind to offend the great immortal.
He deserved 10,000 deaths.
10,000 deaths. Ignorance is no crime. Rise. Old Sun stood up, staring intently at me. Great immortal, I have witnessed your divine powers. What is this great fortune you spoke of? I descended to undergo a mortal trial. Now that my time in prison is complete, it is time for me to return to the heavens. I looked down at him. Set me free. Once I have returned to my station, I shall ensure you a long and prosperous life, with many children and endless blessings. Old Sun turned pale and waved his hands frantically. Lord Immortal, everything else is fine, but letting you out, I truly cannot do it. You are a prisoner marked for execution by the authorities. You are scheduled for public execution after autumn. If I were to secretly release you, not only would my own head roll, but my wife and children, my entire family would be executed. Besides, since you are an immortal, why not just perform a spell, and whoosh, fly back to the sky? Insolence. I gave a cold snort. Since I am undergoing a trial in mortal flesh, the secrets of heaven must not be revealed. Naturally, I cannot simply use my powers to force my way out. What does a mere mortal like you know? I pressed my face close to the bars, my gaze sharp. Moreover, it's just releasing a death row prisoner. It's not as serious as you make it sound. Don't think I'm unaware of how things work in this dungeon. In secret, you've slaughtered countless wealthy prey, haven't you? Old Sun froze as if struck by lightning. Killing wealthy prey is a crime punishable by the execution of 9 generations. Only the prison leadership knew about it, and yet, I knew this secret perfectly. He was now convinced I was a real deity. I watched the cold sweat on his brow, my voice seductive. I know that a mere bailiff like you cannot make such a decision. You can find someone who can make the decision and bring them to me. I pointed to the gold bar in his hand. As long as you can get me out according to the rules, not only shall I bless you, but upon my departure, I will give each of you a hoard of gold and silver that will last a lifetime. How does that sound? Endless gold and silver wealth. Those words seeped into his heart like poison. Fortune favors the bold. The timid starve. Old Sun gritted his teeth, bloodshot eyes gleaming. Great immortal, please wait a moment. He tucked the gold bar securely against his skin. He scrambled away in a panic, heading straight for the warden's quarters. On the other side of the light screen, Chu Jiangwo and Zhao Bowen saw everything clearly. Chu Jiangwo crossed his arms, calm under pressure, with absolutely no outside help, to use a few modern items, to break the opponent's psychological defenses in the shortest time. This kind of quick wit, even for field agents specially trained at the bureau, would be nothing more than this. This kid is a real talent. Chaotic footsteps echoed in the corridor. A swarm of jailers rushed in, weapons drawn. Leading them was a warden with a face full of coarse flesh. He looked me up and down. Old Sun. The warden glared at the jailer cowering behind him. You've been clever your whole damn life. Did a dog eat your brain today? You actually let a braidless thief fool you with a few words? Boss, he really can conjure gold out of thin air. Bullshit. The warden kicked Old Sun in the leg. Back then, those long hairs claimed to be the second sons of some god, and our general chopped them all down. If he's really a god, then I'm the Jade Emperor. The jailer drew his saber and struck the wooden bars hard. Open the door. Drag out this fraud-playing god. 2 guards quickly jammed the keys into the locks. I'll see for myself today. A murderous glint flashed in the jailer's eyes. Once this immortal hits the finger squeezer and the tiger bench, let's see if he can still conjure gold. The 2 guards drew their iron rulers. The locks clicked open. They were about to rush in and pin me down. On the other side of the screen, Chu Jiangwo gripped the edge of the screen tightly. Damn it, I didn't expect this jailer to be a veteran from the Taiping Rebellion. Fang Yu is in danger. Is there any way to save him? Chief, the portal is only 10 centimeters wide. Our equipment and personnel can't get through. The special ops captain was sweating profusely. Zhao Bowen slapped his thigh in frustration. How foolish. I told Fang Yu not to be so impulsive. As they say, reason is useless against a soldier. A jailer who crawled out of piles of corpses doesn't fear gods or ghosts. He only respects the blade. Fang Yu is about to suffer. The iron door was shoved open violently. 2 guards lunged at me with their iron rulers. I didn't budge. Not a hint of fear on my face. I flicked up my hoodie sleeve. My right hand shot out from underneath. My thumb slammed the strobe light button.
Ling bing tou ze ye zen lie xian ding.
A 12,000 lumen beam of light exploded again. The high-frequency flashing made the air seem to warp. The 2 guards screamed and dropped their rulers. They writhed in pain, clutching their eyes. I quickly withdrew the light and haphazardly made a Taoist hand seal. The runners in the corridor were terrified. They retreated instinctively. Old Sun, hiding at the back, was shaking like a leaf. Heavens above. I wasn't lying, was I? This is truly a living god descended from heaven to endure a trial. He's performing immortal arts. Why aren't you kneeling yet? Do you want to be struck by lightning? A few guilt-ridden young runners buckled. They fell straight to their knees. Chu Jiangwo relaxed slightly. This kid has nerves of steel. To think he'd use this method, combining strobe lights to fake a miracle, in such an ignorant environment, it really can intimidate most people. However, the jailer, who had been outside and wasn't blinded, let his innate brutality explode. Bullshit. You useless wastes. The jailer pointed his blade at Old Sun's nose. You bunch of murderers. Have you not thought about your lives? All the filthy deeds you've done in this death row prison. How many lives are stained on your hands? What kind of god would be blind enough to come and bless black-hearted scum like you? He glared intensely at me. A street hustler with a few tricks dares to act wild in the Shuntian prefecture prison? I don't care if you're a great golden immortal. On my turf, if you're a dragon, you coil. If you're a tiger, you crouch. The jailer charged at me with his blade. I didn't move an inch. The scent of blood rushed toward my face. The jailer reached for my collar. My left hand traced a circle while my right hand flipped. Thunder God, aid me. My index finger slammed the taser trigger. Bang! 2 electrodes plunged precisely into the jailer's chest and abdomen. 50,000 volts of high-voltage current surged instantly. The jailer's body stiffened like a board. Eyes wide, face distorted. His saber clattered to the ground. His massive frame fell straight backward, slamming hard onto the blue bricks. The current lasted for 5 seconds. His limbs convulsed and he foamed at the mouth. The smell of burning filled the air. Total silence fell over the room. The jailer, who was like a living llama, was struck down by a single incantation. This was true thunderous power. Old Sun slammed his head on the floor with a thunderous thud. Immortal grandfather, have mercy. The runners all knelt and kowtowed in unison. Immortal grandfather, please spare us. We were blind to your greatness. I slowly and calmly retracted the taser, hands clasped behind my back. 5 minutes later, the jailer stopped convulsing. Only extreme terror remained in his eyes. He knelt on the ground, curled into a ball. Great immortal, I was blind and foolish. I deserve to die. Please, great immortal, cease your divine powers. I looked down at him with an indifferent expression. You mere mortals really won't repent until you see your own coffins. Can you do your jobs properly now? Yes, yes, yes. The jailer nodded like a woodpecker. Your wish is my command, great immortal. Even if you ask me to walk through fire or climb mountains of blades, I wouldn't even blink. I have no need for you to climb mountains of blades. Go find me a scapegoat. Before dawn, grease all the palms in this prison. Once this is settled, after I return to my station, I shall grant you wealth and protection. None of it shall be lacking. But if you fail, that little bit of lightning just now was merely a tickle. Rest assured, great immortal, I'm an expert at this. I'll arrange it right away. I guarantee it'll be done perfectly. I won't delay your return to the heavens. The jailer stood up to carry out the order. Wait. Do you have further instructions, great immortal? I am an immortal of the righteous path. This scapegoat you find must not be an innocent, poor soul. My gaze grew stern. You must find the most wicked of criminals, death row prisoners with blood on their hands. If you dare use an innocent person as a substitute and stain me with such karmic filth, even after I return to the heavens, I will surely summon heavenly thunder to blast this Shuntian prefecture to pieces. The jailer bowed even deeper. The great immortal is truly benevolent. I understand. I'll go to the death row cells immediately and bring that murderous bandit. He's an absolute monster. He was destined for the autumn execution anyway. Using him as a substitute will be perfectly clean. The jailer turned and roared. Are you all deaf? Get up and get to work. Now, the runners scrambled and crawled, swarming out of the corridor. Silence returned to the cell. Once I was sure they were gone, my straight back suddenly collapsed. I slumped completely onto the straw pile. Cold sweat instantly soaked through my hoodie. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Those few minutes had exhausted every ounce of my courage. If the jailer had been a second faster, I'd be a corpse. On the other side of the screen, Chu Jiangwo let out a long sigh. Zhao Bowen slumped against the ruined wall. This kid is incredibly lucky, but he played the part perfectly. Just as I tried to calm my racing heart, a synthesized mechanical voice rang in my mind. Host has successfully completed a near-death escape. World crossing system permissions upgraded. Reward: initial spacetime gate physical radius expanded by 10 centimeters. I snapped my eyes open and looked at the vortex. Accompanied by a humming sound, the miniature passage, amidst flickering blue light, saw its edges ripple and expand rapidly, pushing the space open bit by bit. On the other side of the light screen, Zhao Bowen abruptly stopped wiping his glasses. He slid the glasses back onto the bridge of his nose, staring intently at the vortex in midair. Director Chu. Zhao Bowen slapped Chu Jiangwo's arm frantically. Something's happening. Look, quickly. Chu Jiangwo immediately stepped forward and crouched. The 10 centimeters passage, which previously only fit a hand, had clearly expanded its edges significantly. The light grew more blinding. Visibly, the diameter had expanded to 30 centimeters. Chu Jiangwo stared at me, gasping for air on the screen. Fang Yu, what happened? The portal grew larger. I lay on the moldy straw, steadying my breath. The mechanical prompt echoed in my head. The vortex in the center of the cell had also expanded. I braced myself against the floor and slowly sat up. This portal of mine seems to be capable of growth. Chu Jiangwo and Zhao Bowen held their breath simultaneously. The physicists behind them also stopped what they were doing and looked at the screen. As long as I do certain things right, or rather achieve specific goals, like that near-death escape just now, the system will judge the mission as complete, and the portal will grow larger accordingly. The night wind over the wasteland seemed to freeze. An intense light flared in Chu Jiangwo's eyes. Zhao Bowen slapped his thigh repeatedly in excitement. Doesn't this mean? Chu Jiangwo slowly stood up, fists clenched. One day, this portal will be large enough to transport a person, or even medical vehicles, generators, and larger physical equipment like heavy armored vehicles. A grand strategic blueprint instantly unfolded in Chu Jiangwo's mind. If the portal could expand indefinitely, the state could deploy special reconnaissance companies across time and space, sending top scholars and combat engineers into the Great Qian. With the advantage of modern resources, the Dragon Nation could, in a short time, establish an absolutely modernized advance base and perform a dimensional reshuffle of the primitive era. I looked at their flushed, excited faces and shook my head. I don't know if this spacetime gate has a growth limit, nor do I know what the next mission is, but I suppose this is a good start. Chu Jiangwo snapped back to reality. Right? He nodded heavily. Now is not the time for long-term planning. You're still in a death cell. You must get out safely before dawn. Since the opening is larger, Chu Jiangwo turned to the special ops captain. Then many survival gear items that were too large before can be sent through now. The following batch of items was urgently reallocated by the Pangu think tank in the last 20 minutes. Based on your current situation, they should all be extremely useful. You have to survive for the portal to keep growing. In less than 3 minutes, the special ops team brought in a tactical drop box. Chu Jiangwo took the items inside and pushed them one by one through the expanded vortex. The gear piled up like a small mountain on the straw. I picked up the supply list: a carbon fiber stab-proof vest capable of blocking blunt force trauma, a tactical medical kit containing epinephrine and antibiotics, electrolyte powders and high-energy compressed biscuits, a tactical watch with a built-in high-intensity blinding module, integrated combat goggles with low-light night vision and thermal imaging, effectively giving me eyes that could pierce the darkness. Finally, a solar fast-charging panel and a miniature carbon fiber handsaw. Hearing the sudden system prompt, my breath hitched for half a second. My pupils constricted behind the goggles in shock. Chu Jiangwo keenly noticed my stiffness. What is it? Is there a problem? He locked his gaze on me. I took a deep breath to suppress the surge of adrenaline and shook my head. The system just issued a long-term main quest. I spoke rapidly. Escape the capital and infiltrate the Jinmen Guard to establish the first near-modern outpost. The mission reward is expansion of the spacetime gate's physical diameter to 1 meter, and the activation of the basic automatic supply transport channel. Upon hearing this news, Chu Jiangwo's stern face flushed with an uncontrollable, feverish excitement. The glasses in Zhao Bowen's hand dropped onto the broken bricks. The physicists in the back stood up abruptly. A 1-meter diameter portal, 20 centimeters only guaranteed my survival, but 1 meter was enough for special forces to pass through, enough to transport machine tools, generators, and even artillery into this era. That was true national power projection. Good. Chu Jiangwo stood up abruptly. Talk about perfect timing. He crouched before the light screen again. Go for it. Do whatever it takes. No matter how much trouble you cause over there, no matter what level of resources you need, the state will provide assistance, unconditionally and without limit. I'll report this to the highest authorities immediately. Regardless, this Jinmen Guard base must be established. I nodded heavily through the light screen, Hurried footsteps and the sound of something heavy being dragged echoed from the end of the corridor. I immediately went silent. I put on the integrated combat goggles. My vision shifted to a clear, low-light green. Thermal imaging showed several heat signatures appearing around the corner. In the lead was the head jailer returning. Behind him, 2 guards dragged a man bound in chains, whose vital signs were extremely weak. Old Immortal, the head jailer, fell to his knees from a distance, holding the keys in both hands, not daring to look up. The white duck has been brought. The guards knelt as well, throwing the death row prisoner onto the ground. I examined him through the night vision filter. The man was covered in whip scars, his shoulder blades pierced by iron wires, his back encrusted with blood clots. Who is he? My voice was cold and commanding. In answer to the Immortal, the head jailer didn't dare look up. This man is called Zhang Matzi, a ruthless bandit who kills without blinking. Last month, in the Tongzhou region, he slaughtered an entire family of 7 in Liangxiang, not even sparing a month-old infant. The magistrate of Shuntian Prefecture sentenced him to death by lingering slicing. He was supposed to be flayed alive in the coming days. We're using him to fill the vacancy for this waist-chopping execution. He's completely disposable. I zoomed in with the goggles. I saw a predatory ferocity still lingering in the prisoner's single eye, completely devoid of remorse. He truly was a man who deserved to die. Open the door. I looked away. The head jailer tremblingly unlocked the iron lock and stepped aside to let me through. The bribes have been paid. The jailer whispered. Dawn is approaching. The guards from the footguard's office just changed shifts. Once you're out of this gate, there's a waste cart carrying corpses outside. Bear with it for a moment. Hide in the false bottom of the cart. Once you're past the city gates, the world is yours, and no one can stop you. I pushed open the wooden bars and stepped out of the death cell. The pale blue light screen remained floating. I looked at Chu Jiangwo on the screen. He raised his right hand, performing a standard modern military salute. I nodded solemnly, turned and walked into the dim corridor, and put on the supplies Chu Jiangwo sent. I tore off my ragged hoodie, and donned a black carbon fiber stab-proof vest, fastened the tactical first aid kit and put on the tactical watch. Around my neck hung integrated combat goggles. Fully geared up, my aura shifted completely. Chu Jiangwo looked at me. Fang Yu, I have one critical question. I need to confirm this. This portal of yours, can it be opened anywhere you desire, or is it fixed to this specific cell? I closed my eyes, and the light screen flickered and vanished. 3 seconds later, it reappeared behind me to the right, moved 2 meters away. Seems the system isn't that rigid. I touched the edge of the screen. Chu Jiangwo let out a sigh of relief. The physicists relaxed as well. The channel can move with the host, meaning the state can provide supplies anytime, anywhere. Where do you plan to go once you're out? Chu Jiangwo asked. I froze. I haven't decided yet. All I've thought about is escaping this death cell, saving my own head first. I haven't had time to think about what comes next. Zhao Bowen stepped quickly toward the screen. Go to Tianjin. The office of the Beiyang Minister and Viceroy of Zhili is there. It's Lord Li's territory, and the logistics hub for the self-strengthening movement, and the Beiyang fleet during the late Qin dynasty. The most advanced things in the entire empire are there. There are numerous foreign compradors, and factories of the machinery bureau. Your attire and that short hair would make you a haircut rebel facing execution in the capital. But in Tianjin, with a little disguise, no one will care. It's a place where Chinese and foreigners mingle. The state will use its think tank and historical archives to fabricate for you a bulletproof identity as an overseas merchant, with this identity as cover, and some of the items we provide, industrial samples impossible to create in this era. You can gain direct access to the core of the Beiyang fleet. Perhaps, before the Jutian naval battle begins next year, you can use this identity to enter the arsenal. Replace those substandard shells filled with sand, and the low-grade coal that spews black smoke. This could change the outcome of that war. I listened to Zhao Bowen's vision, remained silent for a minute, then shook my head firmly. I will not cooperate with the Qin dynasty. Zhao Bowen's excitement froze. Why? The Qin dynasty is rotten to the core. My voice was cold. It's a dilapidated wooden house, rotten from the roots. Even if we put pure gold and the most advanced weapons right in front of them, all those officials would think about is definitely not how to win a war. All they'll think about is how to embezzle these resources, how to use them for internal strife and political purges. I cannot place my hope in these people. That would be like throwing national resources into a bottomless pit. I must build our own force. Once I reach Tianjin, I can use the gold you provide and modern industrial goods to make my first fortune. Tianjin has many low-level students from the self-strengthening schools. They have basic knowledge, but no future. I can use money to win them over, or even recruit them directly. Around Tianjin, there are thousands of refugees who can't survive, and those who were disbanded, veterans of the Xiong and Huai armies who can't even afford a meal. As long as they're fed and given a gun, they're the perfect foundation. I will secretly establish our own military workshops. Once my army is assembled, the portal's missions will surely trigger. When that time comes, when the portal expands, and the state's special forces and engineers arrive, forget just Tianjin. Even taking over the entire capital region will be as easy as flipping a hand. A brilliant light flashed in Chu Jiangwo's eyes. Now this is the correct strategic choice. Smash that era with the iron fist of modern civilization. The moment I clenched my fist, a mechanical synthetic voice echoed in my mind. Long-term main quest triggered. Dragon soars over Beiyang. Mission objective: escape the capital. Infiltrate Tianjin. Establish the first near-modern outpost base. Mission reward: expand the physical diameter of the two-way spacetime portal. Open a basic automated resource transmission channel. 2 hours later, Zizaman, outside Shuntian Prefecture. I lifted the wooden panel of the hidden compartment under the waste cart and crawled out from the stench, greedily breathing in the fresh air. The jailer and old son came scurrying over, bowing with fawning faces. Old immortal, the jailer handed over a bundle, this all-access travel permit, and the silver for bribes along the way. The underlings have prepared everything for you. Well done. I took the bundle. Seeing they didn't leave, I realized they were waiting for a reward. I pulled out the gold leaves Chu Jiangwo had prepared. Take it. I tossed out 3 gold leaves. The 2 of them scrambled in the grass like hungry dogs. I threw down 2 medicine boxes. This is divine medicine from the heavens. If you ever have a fever that won't break, or a knife wound that worsens and festers, 1 pill will cure it. They picked up the boxes and kowtowed frantically. Thank you for the reward, old immortal. Your powers are boundless. May your life be as eternal as the heavens. I turned and climbed into the hired carriage, heading straight for Tianjin in the southeast. Half a day later, Tianjin. I dismissed the driver and blended into this mixed Chinese-foreign commercial port of the Great Qin. I found an inn to wash away the grime of the death cell. After a night's sleep, I took the item sent by Chu Jiangwo through the portal and put on the dark gray wool suit. I combed my short hair. The bronze mirror reflected a young man with a cold, sharp aura. This attire would be a death sentence in the capital. But in Tianjin, this is called a high-class overseas merchant returning from abroad. I pushed open the wooden window. The streets below were bustling. Coal smoke from steamships drifted from the distance. I went downstairs and merged into the market. The late autumn heat made the streets stifling. I strolled along the edge of the French concession, establishing a near-modern outpost base. Swirling in my mind, with a 20 centimeters spacetime portal for supplies, it can only be a miniature stronghold. To build a large-scale base, I have to rely on myself. I need a legitimate cover, an industry where I can recruit manpower in plain sight. What should it be? This is the first critical hurdle. My gaze sweeps across the ironworks across the street. Steel smelting, chemicals. 2 words emerge. The Great Qin lacks basic heavy industry the most. If I just build a small chemical plant, the Beiyang officials would definitely treat me as an honored guest. But steel and chemicals are too high profile. Once the smoke rises, the foreigners will be watching. Officials will move in, and gangs will demand cuts. The plan to secretly build a force would be dead on arrival. Most fatal of all, there are no skilled workers in this era. Training would take far too long. It's a vicious cycle. If I can't even make my first pot of gold in this era, and keep relying on the state for everything, it'll just drag down the home front. I wipe the sweat from my forehead. The humid air leaves my throat parched. Drink tea. Big bowls of herbal tea. A shout rings out. There's a tea stall not far away. A few coachmen are gulping down cheap, deep brown tea. I lick my dry lips and walk over. 3 steps from the stall, I stop in my tracks, staring intently at that coarse, deep brown porcelain bowl, watching the foam rise from the hurried pour. That color, that foam, that thirst-quenching feeling in this sweltering heat. A wild idea explodes in the depths of my mind. My eyes suddenly light up, staring fixedly at that bowl of tea. Customer. The old tea seller wipes his hands, approaching with a beaming smile. A bowl of cooling tea, please. I ignore him. I suddenly turn to look 3 feet away. At the pale blue light screen only I can see President Chu. My voice trembles with excitement. Chu Jiangwo's face appears behind the vortex. Get some things over to me. Customer, your tea. The old man holds out the tea to me. I don't take it. I pull out a copper coin, toss it on the bamboo stool, and walk away. The old man clutches the coin, watching my retreating back as I talk to thin air. Confused, I walk quickly into a deserted dead-end alley, stopping in the shadows, facing the light screen. There are already signs of construction on the wasteland. Chu Jiangwo stares at me. Why are you looking for me in such a hurry? There's progress. I nod. I have an idea. I've been thinking, if I want to take root and build a force in Jinmen Guard, I I must have an industry where I can openly recruit and buy supplies, a business to stockpile resources. Initially, I thought of relying on you for equipment and blueprints, to set up a steel mill or a small chemical plant. But the resistance is too great. Once this kind of heavy industry starts, whether it's those bureaucrats from the Beiyang Yamen, or the foreigners from the various concessions, they will all have their eyes locked on me. The slightest ripple, and our armament plan will be exposed. Moreover, the Great Qian simply has no mature, skilled workers to operate those precision machines. Chu Jiangwo nods slightly. You've considered everything thoroughly. Heavy industry attracts too much attention. Our foundation in this timeline is still zero. We can't withstand a joint onslaught from all sides. How do you plan to solve this? A draft in the alley flutters the hem of my suit. A sharp glint flashes in my eyes. The simple. I raise one index finger. I've thought of an industry that can make insane money, won't attract attention, and can perfectly conceal our intention to build a secret base. I'm going to start a beverage factory. Chu Jiangwo's brow furrows instantly. Zhao Bowen's mouth drops open. A beverage factory? Why on earth did you think of that? The jump from heavy industry to selling soda is too huge. I take a step forward. First, it's profitable, insanely so. I raise a second finger. The world-famous Coca-Cola, the original company, won't even be founded in America until 1896. 3 years from now, they'll sweep the globe with that original syrup-flavored recipe. I smirk. There's no reason why we, with a modern recipe, refined for 100 years, couldn't beat them. I'll build the factory in Jinmengard and flood the whole country, and even seize the global market. This will bring us an immeasurable first pot of gold. I stop smiling. The state did promise unconditional support, but the portal is only 20 centimeters wide right now. Even if it expands to a meter in the future, the transmission efficiency will still be limited. A strategic channel like this should be reserved for transporting machine tools, weapons, and core technical personnel, not for sending tons of gold just to grease some palms. I look at Chu Jiangwo, acting like a big shot in this era using state blueprints. That's just being a parasite. I want to use the rules of this era, to earn the money of this era, and use it to fuel the base's construction. Chu Jiangwo's gaze turns into deep admiration. I raise a third finger, second cover. I look at the bustling street outside the alley. To build a modern base, and our own military workshop, will inevitably need a massive sewage system, and an unimaginable amount of industrial water. If I open a regular trading company, but consume tons of purified water every day, it would definitely arouse the suspicion of patrols and spies. I look back at the light screen. Producing beverages gives me a legitimate, justifiable reason for large-scale water use and waste disposal, under the cover of massive water usage. The water consumption of the underground military workshop will be perfectly masked. I lower my hand. Third, distraction. I adjust my suit collar. Producing beverages won't just provide the local Qian government with rich commercial taxes. Most importantly, this stuff isn't steel or gunpowder. To those officials whose minds are filled with power struggles and foreign guns and cannons, this is just some trivial trick of selling sugar water. I look straight at Chu Jiangwo. This is a pure civilian industry. It won't touch the interests of the Beiyang fleet or the core military interests of the Governor-General of Zhili. As long as they get the tax silver, they'll shut their mouths. They won't even bother sending people to watch our factory. Our people can then, under the cover of the factory, conduct military training and equipment production without restraint, without worrying about anyone's surveillance. A brief silence falls over the dead-end alley. Chu Jiangwo's mind races. The logic is airtight. The commercial prospects are huge. The cover is perfect. An inspiration from a tea stall, elevated to the level of strategic layout. Good.
Chu Jiangwu nodded heavily.
From this moment on, the Pangu Task Force will fully support your beverage factory plan. He turns to the special agents. Contact the Ministry of Light Industry immediately, and the top food science laboratories. We need the optimal formulas for Coca-Cola, and all types of modern carbonated drinks. Replace all components involving modern chemical purification with natural ingredients or simple substitutes, available in the Great Qian era. I want a complete production process suitable for manual or semi-automatic production in the late 19th century. He looks at me. The formulas, design blueprints for purification equipment, and the startup capital you need for the factory in Jinmenwei. Within 24 hours, everything will be delivered to you via the space-time gate. I nod. The light screen vanishes instantly. I walk out of the dead-end alley. 2 patrolmen in gray jackets block the entrance. Seeing my actions just now, they want to prey on me like a fat sheep. Stop right there. The tall patrolman levels his wooden club. Who do you work for? Sneaking around alleys like a ghost. Come here and show your identity plaque. I stop in my tracks, pull out 2 pieces of of broken silver and toss them over. Officers, thank you for your hard work on patrol. Take this silver for some tea. The two hurriedly catch the silver, their faces filling with flattering smiles. My lord, the tall patrolman tucks the silver away. You flatter us far too much. What are your orders? I've just arrived in this land, and I want to acquire a large plot of land by the high river to build a western water factory. I'm not sure about the rules in Jinmenwei, or which office I should pay tribute to. The tall patrolman's eyes dart around. My lord, you look like a wealthy merchant returned from abroad to get land by the high river and build a foreign factory. A small office can't handle that. You need the Dao Tai office, but that place has a high threshold. Without an introduction, you won't even find the door, even with silver in hand. He lowers his voice. Head east along the street. At the French concession boundary, there's a Ding Tai tea house. In the second floor private booths, there's a man called Third Master Jean. He's the one who bridges the gap between the offices and foreign firms. Mentioning my name is useless. You must mention the real gold and silver in your hand. I nod, walk past them and leave. An hour later, second floor of Ding Tai tea house. I sit at a mahogany round table, opposite Third Master Jean, who is playing with walnuts. I don't waste words. Under the cover of my clothes, I pull a transparent glass bottle from the first aid kit. This is the sample Chu Jiangwo just sent. Inside is a deep caramel-colored liquid, with bubbles floating in it. Thump. The glass bottle is placed on the table. Third Master Jean stops, surprise flashing in his eyes. Pull out the cork. Success. Carbon dioxide is released. The scent of vanilla and caramel fills the air. I pour a small cup and push it forward. Third Master, I've brought some Western nectar from the South Seas. Have a taste. Third Master Jean picks up the cup and takes a sip. The bubbles explode in his mouth, the sweetness hitting his brain. The cold, stinging sensation making his pupils dilate. He gulps down the rest. He smacks his lips. What is this? A black water brewed from Western secret medicines, specifically to cure fatigue and boredom. The royalty and nobility of Western nations all use this as their daily drink. Low cost, 100-fold profit. The walnuts in Third Master Jin's hand spin rapidly. Then, what is the meaning of your visit? I want to find a large plot of land along the river for a water factory, specifically to brew this black water. So I need official deeds and a merchant protection permit. As for the prospects of this factory, I pull out 2 gold leaves and press them under the cup. This is just the stone to find the way. Once successful, the factory's dry shares. 10% for the introducer, 20% for the official in charge. Third Master Jean stares intently at the gold leaves. He suddenly stands up. I can see your sincerity is absolute. He sweeps the gold leaves into his sleeve. However, a business of this magnitude is not something a mere introducer can decide. I will take you now to see the Deputy Commissioner of Customs, Lord Wu. He is currently listening to opera on a pleasure boat at the Three Fork River. Please, follow me. I follow him to the banks of the high river and step onto the pleasure boat. In the center of the cabin on a soft couch, the gaunt Lord Wu is smoking opium. Third Master Jean steps forward, whispers, and presents the glass bottle. Lord Wu exhales smoke and examines me. I stand straight and nod slightly. So you are the overseas merchant who wants to build extensively in Jinmenwei. Lord Wu's voice is raspy. Coming to my great Qian to build some water factory. What are your ulterior motives? I step forward and pour a glass of Coke. Lord, please be enlightened. I have no hidden schemes. What I seek is a great enterprise to benefit the region. Lord Wu doesn't take it. I've seen many people opening foreign factories in Jinmenwei. Most just want to use foreign influence to hoard land. And this mere bottle of black water, how can it benefit the region? How can it profit the locals? I look at him with a smile. Lord, this black water doesn't offend the foreign guns and cannons, nor does it occupy the Imperial Heavy Industry Registry. It is merely a drink for peddlers and high officials alike. It is a clean civilian business. I lean my hands on the table, but the land I require is immense, because brewing this black water requires a massive amount of pure water. Once the factory is established, every day not only can I pay the Lord a substantial amount of commercial tax, I lower my voice, promise to turn 30% of the profits from this black water factory into anonymous shares in a foreign firm, delivered monthly to your private residence. If this water is sold to Western nations, this will be an endless river of wealth. Furthermore, where the factory stands, I only need one merchant protection order from the Lord to forbid unauthorized personnel from spying on the secret formula. The Lord will not only gain wealth, but also the reputation of a virtuous official promoting industry. The pipa music on the boat stops. The opium pipe in Lord Wu's hand freezes midair. This way of talking only about profit, directly offering 30% of the dividends, precisely hit his greed. He picks up the cup and gulps it down. The intense stimulation clears his clouded brain, sweetness and coolness penetrating his lungs. What an overbearing nectar. He slams the empty cup heavily onto the table. His eyes were filled with greed. How much land do you want? I wouldn't dare ask for much. All I want is a plot along the lower reaches of the Haihe River, right on the edge of the French concession. I looked at Lord Wu, 300 mu in area, with a deep water pier leading directly to the sea, capable of docking foreign ships with a 2,000-ton draft. The air froze. Lord Wu's excitement faded. He tapped his jade opium pipe twice. In this three-way river junction where land is worth its weight in gold, that is a massive piece of prime real estate. Quite an appetite. Lord Wu exhaled a cloud of smoke. The 30% dividend you mentioned is nothing more than a moon in the water. The factory hasn't seen a single brick yet. I would have to shield you from the foreigners, and the pressure from the governor's office to approve such a prime location. And I'd have to issue a special deed banning unauthorized personnel from approaching. Those 2 gold leaves of yours are more than enough as a door opener. But to get 300 mu of land with just that, you must think my customs superintendent's office is some charity soup kitchen. I expected this bureaucrat wouldn't budge for a blank check. Promises are worthless. Cash is king. The conversation with Chu Jiangwo in the dead-end alley flashed through my mind. The state will mobilize all resources. Within 24 hours, the improved formula, equipment blueprints, and sufficient silver coins will be sent. Chu Jiangwo was half-squatting on the other side of the light screen. We can provide the materials, but the official deed for those 300 mu, and the thousands of laborers needed for construction, you must secure those yourself in this era. The state currently lacks the capacity to send people over to be your bricklayers. How do you plan to ask those? Calculating local officials for land? I pondered for a moment. Mr. Chu, besides the money and blueprints, I need you to get me something else. What else? Small, blue, diamond-shaped pills. I lowered my voice. No packaging needed. Just put a few in any airtight container. The faster, the better. Chu Jiangwo's brows furrowed. Zhao Bowen's glasses fell to the floor. What do you want those for? Chu Jiangwo stood up. You're young and strong. It's not time for you to need that stuff yet. Is it? Also, at this critical juncture, don't let yourself be influenced by the filthy feudal remnants of the late Qing dynasty. I waved my hand. Mr. Chu, where is your mind going? I'm not that kind of person. Rest assured, I'm definitely not using these myself. Inside the pleasure boat, Lord Wu toyed with his pipe and stopped looking at me. This was a sign to leave. Third Master Jean remained silent. I placed the small black box beside the pipe. The factory dividends are a long-term stream, but what's inside this box is my humble introductory gift to you, my lord. Lord Wu flicked open the latch. Resting on the cotton were 4 pure blue, diamond-shaped pills. What is this? A rarity from the South Seas. A secret elixir of the Western royalty. I looked at his sallow complexion. You handle 1,000 affairs a day. My lord, it's inevitable that your mind and body are exhausted. This medicine specifically supplements innate deficiencies. Take 1 pill, and within the time it takes a stick of incense to burn, you will bloom again. My gaze swept over the musicians in the corner. Such potency couldn't even be concocted by the Imperial Academy of Medicine. Lord Wu's hand jerked, and the pipe nearly fell. For a local official eroded by years of opium, the allure was far greater than 3,000 taels of silver. He stared intently at the pills. Does it truly have such miraculous effects? His voice trembled as he sat up straight. My head is still within the jurisdiction of Tianjin, and this medicine is extremely potent. Half a pill is enough. If you don't believe me, my lord, you may take half a pill with water right now. I will wait just outside the boat. If you find the medicine effective, then we shall discuss the 300 mu of land. Lord Wu's Adam's apple bobbed. He glanced at Third Master Jean. Third Master Jean understood and withdrew. I followed him out to the deck. The wooden door closed. Half an hour later, the door opened. A musician ran out, her clothes disheveled, her face a mix of terror and flush. Lord Wu's ecstatic laughter echoed from inside. Someone, invite this overseas merchant inside. I walked back into the cabin. Lord Wu, face glowing, gripped the small box tightly. The look in his eyes had changed. Wonderful medicine. He slapped the table. I now consider you a brother. He pulled out a blank deed and dipped it in thick ink. The outskirts of the French concession, following the Haihe downstream, 350 mu of land, including a dual-line deep water pier. He wrote with sweeping, fluid strokes. I shall also write you a decree. From this day forward, those 350 mu are designated as your private water plant. Without the permission of the general manager, soldiers of the Great Qing, police, or unauthorized personnel shall not set a single foot inside the plant area. Those who defy this order, he pressed the tip of his brush firmly, shall be punished for disrupting foreign affairs and commercial ports. 2 documents, the land deed and the protection order. The base now had a legitimate shell and a legal shield. He pushed the documents over. Little brother, he whispered, his eyes full of longing, how many more of these miracle pills do you have? I tucked away the documents. This medicine is extremely difficult to purify and costly to produce. However, as long as this water plant can take root securely in Tianjin, on the 1st of every lunar month, I will personally visit you to deliver a full month's supply for you, my lord. This is the most secure arrangement. The customs superintendent's office will become the fiercest guard dog for my estate. It's a deal. He laughed loudly. I will send someone to the governor's office to report immediately. Your factory can break ground tomorrow. Then I thank you, Lord Wu. Hey, why call me Lord Wu? That's too formal. From now on, just call me Brother Wu. Ha ha ha. I stepped off the pleasure boat and stood on the pier. The land is secured, the ban is lifted. The biggest corrupt official is now hitched to my wagon. Next step, time to find the refugees and veterans. The night wind carried a salty, fishy mist. Third Master Jean stepped behind a rock to smoke. The light screen flickered to life before me. Behind it was a sterile laboratory. Chu Jiangwo's face pressed close to the screen. It settled. I nodded and pulled out the land deed. Cheers erupted across the wasteland. Chu Jiangwo relaxed his shoulders and gave a signal. Several hands pushed forward army green canvas bags. What's this? I knew you'd handle things efficiently. I've already prepared your seed money. Inside are 5,000 Mexican Eagle dollars, the most accepted hard currency in the late Qing ports. Underneath is a formula from a top light industry expert, a handwritten recipe modified overnight. Every process requiring a modern centrifuge for purification has been replaced by methods using earth kills and primitive filter paper available in this era. We've listed the herbal substitutes for the ingredients. I grabbed the canvas bag and unzipped it. Silver light spilled out as coins clashed. I pulled out the manuscript and tucked it into my inner pocket. Where are you heading next? Groundbreaking for these 350 acres starts tomorrow morning. I looked toward the shantytown downstream. I need people. The light screen vanished. I turned around, carrying the case. Third Master, where in Tianjin can I find laborers willing to risk their lives? That depends on how much you're paying. There's a great drought today. In the lawless zone south of the city, thousands of refugees from beyond the pass have gathered, along with veterans of the Xiong and Huai armies dismissed years ago. As long as they get a meal, they wouldn't blink if you told them to dig up their ancestors' graves. I nodded. South of the city? I've got it. The next morning, the lawless zone south of the city. The air smelled of rot and fermented mud, with endless shanties. Barefoot refugees crouched with vacant stares. Dressed in a suit, I stepped through the sludge, carrying my metal case. Ahead, at a pancake stall, 3 thugs were ganging up on an old man. The old man wore a tattered Huai army vest, clutching half a mixed-grain pancake for dear life. The thugs kicked him in the head and back. The old man's head was covered in blood. You stubborn old grunt. The lead thug spat out blood-tinged saliva. Begging in this territory, and daring to buy food without paying protection money? I'll skin you alive today. He aimed a brutal stomp at the old man's ribs. The refugees shrank back in dead silence. I was about to step in, when a gaunt figure darted from the crowd, slamming into the lead thug. It was a youth of 16 or 17. In ragged short clothes, his eyes bloodshot, he stood protectively before the veteran. You bunch of spineless cowards, bullying a veteran who fought the longhairs and foreigners. He spoke through gritted teeth. What kind of Tianjin men are you? The other 2 thugs pulled out short clubs and lunged. Where did this stray come from? A northern peasant looking for death. The youth didn't flinch, taking a direct hit. A deep gash opened on his left shoulder. He grabbed the thug's waist and bit hard into the inner thigh. The thug screamed. Another thug raised his club to smash the youth's skull. Crack. I snapped the thug's knee. He rolled in the muddy water, clutching his broken leg. I retracted my right leg, left hand in pocket, right hand holding the case. The lead thug scrambled up, eyes bloodshot with rage. Damn it, you're that fake foreigner who popped up again. Daring to mess with me? You're dead. He whipped out a knife and charged. I pulled out a high-intensity flashlight and clicked the switch. A blinding white light exploded. The thug covered his eyes, screaming as he fell to his knees. I put away the flashlight, looking at the youth with a mouth full of blood. Let go. The youth let go. The bitten thug scrambled away in terror. The youth wiped his mouth and helped the veteran up. The veteran's vest was torn to shreds. His gaunt body was covered in scars and bullet holes.
He walked over.
Old man, were you a soldier? The veteran chewed his pancake. He shrank back, eyeing my suit. To answer you, Lord Foreigner, I was. This old man served in the Ming battalion of the Huai army. In the 2nd year of Tongji, I fought the long hairs with Lord Lu in Taizong. In the 10th year of Guangxu, I fought the French red hairs at Liangshan. He pointed to his stiff right leg. A French cannon blast at Liangshan deafened one of my ears and left shrapnel in my leg. The imperial court declared me disabled. They gave me half a tael of severance silver. I looked at the youth. And you? You're not a soldier, so why stand up for him? The youth straightened his back. To answer you, sir, I'm a refugee from beyond the pass. This old man saw I was starving and shared a sip of water with me. Men from the north live by a code. A drop of water is repaid with one's life. I nodded. I set down the metal case and popped the lid. 2,000 shimmering eagle dollars were stacked inside. The crowd's breathing grew heavy. Everyone, let me introduce myself. My name is Fang Yu. I've acquired 350 acres at the Three-Way Fork. I'm building a western water plant. I pointed pointed to the ground. I won't beat around the bush. I'm here to recruit. I need thousands of people willing to work themselves to the bone. Room and board provided. Those who work hard will be rewarded with silver. The crowd stirred. I stared at the veteran and the youth. Old man. I snatched the pancake he was guarding and tossed it away. I handed him a piece of compressed biscuit. The great Qing Empire doesn't want you, but I do. You are a hero of the state. You shouldn't have ended up like this. You won't be doing hard labor at the plant. The scars on your body are medals of honor. You will be my plant security instructor. Take those skills you used to fight foreigners and teach them to my men. The veteran shed cloudy tears, clutching the biscuit tightly. I walked toward the youth. As for you, kid, ruthless, spirited, and grateful. I grabbed a handful of silver coins and stuffed them into his collar. Work for me. You'll lead the recruitment and perimeter security for the plant. Weren't you starving? Follow me. I'll make sure you never go hungry for the rest of your life. And I'll let you trample those arrogant officials and foreign dogs who treat the common people like dirt. The young man's chest heaved as he crashed into the mud on his knees. If you feed me, master, my life belongs to you from now on. I pulled him up. Stand up. I don't want you kneeling. No one is worth your kneeling. What's your name? Answer me. His voice boomed. I'm from Haiqing County, Fengtian. Surname Zhang. My father gave me a lowly name, Zhang the Old Lump. I thought it was too rustic, so I had the local tutor give me a proper name. My proper name is Zhang Zwilin. My breath hitched for a second. Couldn't believe it. This future warlord of the Northeast is currently a starving refugee willing to bite for half a pancake. Good. I took a half step back. The surrounding refugees were driven mad by the silver. A dozen of them lunged like rabid dogs. The old soldier's eyes widened as he shoved the biscuits back and blocked the chest. Form up, he roared the command. A wooden staff knocked one down. Zhang Zwilin swung a broken bucket at a thug, diving into the crowd to wrestle 2 or 3 people. There were too many of them. The 2 only bought me half a minute. I pulled out a high-intensity flashlight and a taser. The blinding light hit the front row, who screamed and covered their eyes. The taser hit a burly man. The high-voltage current made him convulse and crash into another. The refugees behind froze in terror. I put away the flashlight and leveled the gun. Zhang Zwilin, face covered in blood, stood by my side. The old soldier guarded the chest and slammed the lid shut. I glared at the crowd. One more step forward, and I'll let you taste the wrath of a thunderbolt. I'm not killing you, not because I'm afraid, but because you aren't even worth dying for this bit of silver. The crowd fell into a dead silence. Only the electrocuted man on the ground let out a faint moan. I slid the taser back into my tactical bag. As I said, 51 a day, room and board included. I pointed to the mud beneath us. The Great Qian dynasty treats you like mud, worse than pigs or dogs. The foreigners treat you like ants to be crushed at any moment. Now I'm giving you a way out, not to be my dogs, but to earn your keep with dignity. I looked at Zhang Zwilin and the old soldier. Zhang Zwilin, in this lawless zone, pick out 1,000 strong men for me. I don't care about their background or origins, as long as they are able-bodied and willing to risk their lives. I pointed to the metal chest. Old soldier. The old soldier snapped to attention on his crippled leg. Your servant is here. These 1,000 men will be led by you and Zhang Zwilin. Use the formations you used to fight the foreigners, to organize them into squads and platoons. Zhang Zwilin handles the money. You handle the discipline. I looked at his scarred body. Anyone who steals, anyone who riots, or anyone who bullies the weak will be dealt with by military law. I want a disciplined force that follows orders, not a disjointed mob. The old soldier pursed his lips, gripping his wooden staff like a bayonet. I obey your command. Zhang Zwilin hoisted the 10-pound metal chest, his predatory eyes scanning the refugees. Did you hear, Master Fang? He roared until his voice cracked. Anyone who wants to eat, line up in the clearing to the west. If any bastard dares to push forward, I'll skin them alive. After a moment of commotion, the strongest men at the front began to line up. The riot was forcibly suppressed. I turned to leave. I had to get back to the inn. The team was assembled, but they were just refugees who didn't even know left from right. 350 acres of land need fencing. The Coca-Cola equipment needs assembly. I can't put it all together alone. I pushed open the wooden door of the guest room and locked the windows. The space-time portal expanded to its 20 centimeters limit. Chu Jiangwo and Zhao Bowen appeared. President Chu. I took off my suit and threw it on the bed. I've recruited the people, over 1,000 men, led by the future warlord of the Northeast, Zhang Zwilin, and a veteran of the Huai army from the Sino-French War. Zhao Bowen dropped his pen. He leaned closer to the light screen, eyes wide. Who? His voice cracked. You hired the young Marshal Zhang as a security captain? Ignoring him, I looked at Chu Jiangwo. I've hit a snag. I loosened my tie. The land has been approved. 350 acres, including a deep water pier, but I'm currently leading over 1,000. Illiterate peasants who've never even seen a gear. That steam bottling machine is impossible for me to assemble alone, let alone planning the water plant's sewers, fortifications, and blueprints for hidden military workshops. I leaned my hands on the table. I need engineering blueprints. More importantly, I need experts to guide me.
Chu Jiangu Frauen.
The space-time portal is only 20 centimeters right now. No one can pass through. I've already had the Ministry of Light Industry draw all the blueprints. But when it comes to fortifications, the laborers of Great Qian can't build them from drawings alone. He crouched down. You must find someone in that era who understands Western architecture and machinery to act as a translator between you and those laborers. I straightened up. The Yanggu Academy in Tianjin or the Beiyang Machinery Bureau. I picked up my coat. These students trained by the Great Qian dynasty are currently the most undervalued talents. I'll go to the Machinery Bureau and use silver coins to poach a few students who know foreign languages and drafting. Wait, Zhao Bowen pushed forward. Fang Yu is currently the 43rd year of Great Qian. There's a place in Tianjin more suitable than the Machinery Bureau. He adjusted his glasses. The Beiyang Naval Academy. They don't just teach navigation and engineering, but also drafting and weapons manufacturing. The first generation of Great Qian's top naval talents are all there. He stared at me. Since you're posing as a Western merchant and have a pass from the customs commissioner, you should just go straight to the Naval Academy under the guise of joint modernization efforts and hire apprentice engineers with high salaries to poach people from there. I paused. Poaching from the Beiyang Navy's backyard. I put on my coat. I'll take this challenge. The carriage stopped outside the Beiyang Naval Academy. Four armed guards stood at the gate. Restricted area. No unauthorized entry. The lead guard raised his rifle. I pulled out the permit and unfolded it. Permit from the General Bureau of Trade. By order of Lord Wu. Enter the academy to recruit students versed in Western affairs. To build a water plant on the outskirts of the French concession. Seeing the official seal, the guards immediately stepped aside. I entered the academy. Following the sound of English commands, I reached an open-air workshop at the edge of the playground. Beside a scrapped double-cylinder steam turbine, about 10 students were gathered around. Commander, Li Jiwen, his face smeared with grease, gripped a wrench. The cylinder of this turbine isn't broken. Only the condenser pipe is clogged. If we spend 10 taels of silver on seamless steel pipes for replacement and get this turbine fixed, I guarantee the Dingyuan's turning speed will increase by 10%. The Manchu commander toyed with his jade walnuts. Presumptuous. A piece of scrap metal like this. Even the foreign instructors said it's beyond repair. You, a brat who can't even memorize the 8-legged essay. How dare you spout such nonsense here? The court spends silver for you to study the classics of loyalty and patriotism, not for you to be drenched in sweat every day, tinkering with these useless gadgets. He pointed at Li Jiwen. If you don't get back to class and memorize the illustrated treatise on the maritime kingdoms, I will expel you from this academy immediately and exile you to Daegu port as a coolie. Li Jiwen grit his teeth. The surrounding students lowered their heads, not daring to speak. Passionate man of action, trampled ruthlessly into the mud by a bureaucrat. I looked at this young man, his face full of resentment. This is the engineer I'm looking for. I pushed open the iron gate. Who's there? The commander frowned. Where did this fake foreigner come from? Daring to enter the naval workshop. I ignored him. I walked up to Li Jiwen. It's just an obsolete single-stage expansion turbine. Its thermal efficiency is less than 10%. Even if fixed, it's still a pile of junk. Since the commander doesn't allow it to be fixed, then stop trying. Li Jiwen looked up sharply. You know machinery? I pulled out the blueprints sent overnight by Chu Jiangwo. Design plans for a multi-stage condensing steam filling machine. I unfolded a third of it across Li Jiwen's hand. Dense rows of numbers, precise tolerances, complex gear engagements.
Li Jiwen's pupils dilata.
He stared intently at the blueprints. He immediately recognized the technological gap. This surpassed every naval propulsion system in Great Qian. His hands were shaking. The design of this condensing water jacket is genius. How is this possible? Even the Westerners couldn't have drawn this, sir. Where did these blueprints come from? The commander flew into a rage. Insolence. I am speaking to you. How dare you ignore me? Guards, seize this arrogant fool and interrogate him severely. Two gashahas drew their sabers and charged. Without looking back, I slapped the permit onto the commander's chest. Can you read? My gaze was cold. Personally approved by Lord Wu, the customs supervisor, general manager of the Western water plant in the French concession. If you touch me, you are cutting off Lord Wu's source of wealth and robbing Great Qian of tens of thousands in commercial taxes. The commander's face turned pale. The gashahas froze in their tracks. I took back the blueprints and looked at Li Jiwen. My name is Fang Yu. I've acquired 350 mu of land by the High River to build the first Western water plant in Great Qian. I possess mechanical blueprints 50 years ahead of this era, but I lack people. I need someone who can understand these plans, an engineer who can turn them into steel behemoths. I pointed at the broken turbine. Here. You get 2 taels of silver a month for tuition. Even for the cost of a single steel pipe, you have to beg a fool like this on your knees, and get called a tinkerer of gadgets for fixing a machine. Come with me, take off those student robes and come to my factory. I held up one finger. I'll pay you a monthly salary of 100 silver dollars, plus all technical bonuses. Whatever materials or iron ingots you need, I'll approve it all. No one will dare suppress you with 8-legged essays. How about it? The students gasped. That's higher than the foreign instructors pay. Li Jiuwen's Adam's apple bobbed. But it was the blueprints that truly broke his defenses. He took a half step back, gripping the wrench tightly. I am a soldier of great Qian. I studied navigation and turbines to serve on ironclads, to fight the red hairs and the eastern dwarves at sea, to build a water plant and produce industrial water. What would my 10 years of study and all this passion be for? I looked at him deeply. This is a young man who has been brainwashed, yet retains a pure love for his country. The commander sneered. At least you know your place, boy. The prestige of great Qian cannot be bought with a few pieces of stinking copper. I suddenly turned and stepped toward the commander. Soldiers of great Qian, my voice boomed like thunder. Go look at Daegu port. You spent millions of taels of silver to buy the Dingyuan and Jinyuan ironclads from Germany. What kind of shells are loaded inside? Solid shot, duds filled with sand. I stared intensely at Li Jiuwen. You know machinery, then tell me, with sand-filled shells and broken turbines with less than 10% efficiency, who on earth can you defeat? The workshop fell silent. The students' faces turned pale. I pointed to the gate. Our country is being trampled underfoot, not because your soldiers aren't brave, but because you have no military industry of your own. Every gun, every cannon, every piece of steel, all depend on the whims of the foreigners. If the foreigners won't sell, you'll have to go to your deaths with rusty scrap metal. I walked back to Li Jiwen and lowered my voice. Do you think I really just want to build a water plant for sugar syrup? I need the massive water consumption of a plant to mask the operation of heavy industry underground. The blueprint I showed you was just the surface. I stared into his shocked eyes. That is a machine that can be converted into a precision master machine for a modern firearm production line, right next to the French concession, right under the noses of those scoundrels. I will build a factory that can produce its own breech-loading repeaters and high-explosive fragmentation shells. I patted him on the shoulder. Stay in this academy, and you'll be nothing more than a ghost sinking with a shipwreck. Follow me, and the shells you build with your own hands will blow those foreign ships that slap us in the face to pieces. This is how you truly save the nation. Li Jiuwen's mind raced. An underground munitions factory, building our own guns and cannons. This completely ignited his passion and ambition. Slap. He ripped off his uniform and threw it at the commander's feet. I'm done with these books. His eyes were bloodshot. I'm going to be a worker. He looked at his classmates. I, Li Jiuwen, have made up my mind today. Anyone who isn't afraid to die and is willing to build real weapons to fight the foreigners. Strip off your clothes and follow me. After a brief silence, the sound of tearing fabric echoed. 14 top-tier technical students stripped off their uniforms, threw them on the ground, and stood behind me. The commander trembled with rage. This is a rebellion. I will report you all to the governor's office. I looked at him coldly. Go ahead. Report us. Let's see if Lord Wu takes my head first, or strips you of your 5th-rank official robes. Let's go. I led the 15 top talents out of the academy. Inside the carriage, Li Jiwen grabbed my arm. Manager Fang, could I take another look at those blueprints? I handed over the briefcase. Of course you can see the blueprints, but from now on, don't call me manager. Just call me boss. As for that equipment, it's called a Coca-Cola bottling machine. We will use the money it earns to buy lives, buy guns, and buy the future. 350 acres of land, 1,000-man security force, 15 top engineers. Everything is ready. Now let's see how the world welcomes the dimensional strike of Coca-Cola. The light inside the carriage was dim. A holographic screen floated. Chu Jiangwo waved a yellow envelope and handed it over. These are the architectural blueprints from the chief engineer. The surface is the cover layout for the Coca-Cola plant. 15 meters underground is the modern machining center you requested. All ventilation, pressure relief, waterproofing, and seismic layers were calculated overnight by the National Infrastructure Engineering Corps. I took the heavy envelope. Chu Jiangwo then handed me a black tactical bag. What is this? Bulletproof plates. Your stab-proof vest is fine against Great Qian's cold weapons, but the French concession is right next to you. Those foreigners carry chassepot rifles and revolvers. Your current gear can't stop those. Put the plates inside your clothes for safety. I nodded and took them. The holographic screen vanished. I unbuttoned my suit and slid the ceramic bulletproof plates into the lining. The carriage stopped. Zhang Zuolin opened the door. He was shirtless, covered in bloody scratches, with a hacking knife tucked in his waist. I stepped out of the carriage. Before me was a wasteland right against the French concession's barbed wire. Over 1,000 refugees were frantically cutting grass and trees. Old soldiers stood on the high slope with canes, whipping refugees who fought over shovels to maintain order. Li Jiyuan and the others jumped down from the carriage, looking at the coolies and the wasteland in bewilderment. I slapped the envelope onto Li Jiyuan's chest. The blueprints. I'm leaving the land and the people to you. 10 days. I want to see the outer brick walls and the prototype of the first floor plant. Can you do it? Li Jiyuan pulled out the blueprints. The modern industrial blueprints shattered his understanding. His breathing grew heavy. He sat directly in the mud and spread out the plans. The 14 students immediately crowded around. He stared intensely at the blueprints. With these plans, within 10 days, even if I have to sacrifice lives, I will get this plant standing for you. There's no need to be that desperate. I waved my hand. A piercing steam whistle sounded. A steam launch flying the French flag bumped into the old Deepwater pier. 4 enemies police stood at the bow with rifles. A fat man in a lavish robe stepped off the gangplank. A Chinese policeman wiped his shoes. Zhang Zuolin gripped his knife and stood to my left. The old soldiers moved to the rear right. The fat man walked up to me, looked me over, and forced a fake smile. You must be the boss who returned from Southeast Asia. I am Zhao Jinrong, a comprador for the foreign firms in the French concession. I looked at him coldly, ignoring him. My dear boss, you seem to be a citizen of our great Qian as well. Then you must know the logic that an ordinary man is innocent, but possessing a treasure makes him guilty. Lord Wu, the director of the General Bureau of Trade, granted you these 350 acres, and it's certainly eye-catching. I kept my hands in my pockets and didn't respond. Zhao Jinrong sneered. You're new here and don't know the rules of Jinmen Guard. Lord Wu's deed is valid on Great Qian's soil, but this land is right next to the French concession. The foreign masters have said that your massive construction blocks the view of the French consulate and disrupts the feng shui of the foreign firms. He held up 3 fingers. 3 seconds. Stop work immediately and disperse the refugees. This land deed, at the price of 2,000 taels of silver, will be sold to the French firm. Take the silver and go back to wherever you came from. Save your own life. I've made myself very clear. You should understand now, right? Everyone's expression changed. This is blatant robbery. Li Jiyuan stood up abruptly, shielding the blueprints, his eyes bloodshot. On what grounds? This is official land granted by Lord Wu. It is the territory of Great Qian. What right does your firm have to force a sale? 2,000 taels of silver isn't even enough to cover the cost of filling the river. Zhao Jinrong didn't even blink. A Chinese policeman stepped forward, swinging his baton toward Li Jiyuan's head. Zhang Zuolin moved, like a cheetah gliding across the ground. He grabbed the policeman's wrist and slammed the back of his knife into the policeman's temple. The policeman flipped sideways, landing stiffly in the mud. Total silence fell over the area. 1,000 refugees stopped and stared blankly. Zhao Jinrong stopped fiddling with his prayer beads, shocked. He didn't expect refugees to dare attack a policeman. This is mutiny. A commoner dares to attack the police. Kill him. The 4 enemies police bolted their rifles, pointing their muzzles straight at the shore. The old soldier roared and pushed Zhang Zuolin aside, using his frail body to shield the guns. His eyes numb and desperate. Li Jiyuan and the students gritted their teeth, standing behind me, their fists clenched tight. I sighed and pushed the old soldier aside, walking straight toward the rifles to face Zhao Jinrong. Zhao Jinrong's heart skipped a beat seeing my emotionless eyes, but he straightened his back, relying on the foreign guns. Kid, you really want to tank French bullets? This rabble of 1,000 men. One shot from those foreign rifles and you're all dead. The laws of Great Qian don't apply to foreign firms, right? The rules of the foreign lords are the rules of Tianjin. I nod. My right hand shoots out, grabbing his fat neck and squeezing tight. Zhao Jinrong lets out a pig-like scream, struggling desperately, his face turning purple. The Annam police roar, raising their rifles to aim at my chest. A gunshot shatters the silence. Zhang Zuolin roars, raising his blade to charge. The old soldiers close their eyes in agony. Li Jiyuan and the others turn pale. I stand my ground, not falling. The bullet hits my chest dead center, tearing through the wool fabric, but it is stopped cold by an incredibly hard, modern ceramic ballistic plate. My body only jolts slightly. Everyone freezes in place, staring at me like I'm a monster, a flesh and blood body taking a foreign bullet unscathed. It exceeds the cognitive limits of this era. I let go. Zhao Jinrong collapses like a pile of mud, yellow liquid leaking from his crotch. I pull out the taser and press it against his forehead. This strange-looking weapon is 100 times more terrifying than a rifle in his eyes. The foreigner's rules don't apply to me. Get lost and tell the consul of the French concession. This land is mine. This factory is mine. I flip the switch. The taser erupts in blue sparks with a crackling sound. If you dare send another boat, I'll level your consulate. The Annam police, terrified, drop their rifles, and flee for their lives in the motorboat. Zhao Jinrong scrambles onto the small skiff. The guards shoulder their companion and row frantically away. The wasteland returns to silence. Everyone stares intently at my back. The man who tanked a foreign bullet. The great Qin dynasty fears the foreigners. I don't. Follow me and we'll hold our heads high. Zhang Zuolin drops to one knee in the mud. Boss, the old soldiers and refugees fall to their knees one after another in the muddy water. Li Jiwen clutches the blueprints, standing straight and bowing deeply to me. I don't look back. Start work. I holster the taser. Until the factory is built, beat anyone who comes to cause trouble to death. I'll take the fall. A thunderous roar erupts. Over 1,000 hoes and shovels slam into the mud. The first near-modern military-industrial water plant complex of Great Qin officially breaks ground. I walk back to the carriage. The moment the door closes, cold sweat breaks out. The blunt force of the close-range hit on the ballistic plate makes my sternum ache intensely. The light screen flickers on. Chu Jiangwo stares intently at my torn suit. Fang Yu, the French have suffered a loss this time. They certainly won't let this go. What other weapons do you need? I'll have the ordnance depot transfer them to you immediately. I rip off my tie, a dangerous glint flashing in my eyes. President Chu, small arms won't change the tide of war. I don't want guns. I want to build tanks. Chu Jiangwo's eyelid twitches violently. Tanks? It's the 43rd year of Great Qin. Even tractors haven't been invented yet. You want to build tanks right under the noses of a few hundred green standard army soldiers and French police? Isn't that difficulty level a bit too high? I wipe away the cold sweat. President Chu, you worry too much. I'm not building main battle tanks, but light assault vehicles similar to those from World War I. They don't need a complex fire control system. Just a layer of steel plate that can stop a Maxim heavy machine gun, plus an internal combustion engine with enough horsepower. The chassis can be modified from tractor tracks. The foreigners have gunboats. If they really sail warships into the Haihe River to shell my plant, a few rifles will be useless. I must have an armored force, capable of directly crushing the French consulate. That is my trump card for survival. Chu Jiangwo is silent for a few seconds. The blueprints for the track chassis, and the blueprints for the most primitive diesel engine, will be sent to you before dawn tomorrow. As for the power system of the underground arsenal, we've decided to send you a set of small fuel generator modules. Fang Yu, the state can provide blueprints and core components, but the most critical part of a tank, armor steel, the portal is only 20 centimeters wide, simply won't fit through, and the wrought iron used for farm tools in Tianjin can be pierced by a gun. I straighten my suit. I'll find a way to handle the steel. The Great Qin dynasty can't produce good steel, but in the dockyards of the Beiyang fleet, there are piles of overpriced, subpar steel plates sold by foreigners. Those officials who bleed the soldiers dry. As long as the price is right, they'd sell their own fathers. The light screen cuts off. 10 days pass in a flash. Over 1,000 refugees unleash incredible stamina. A 2-meter-high blue brick wall embedded with broken glass, and caltrops rises around the perimeter. In the center, red brick factory buildings soar upward, giant chimneys piercing the clouds, and 15 meters directly below the factory, an underground space the size of half a football field is being hollowed out. The soil is disguised as waste and dumped into the Haihe River overnight. I stand in the second-floor corridor. Li Jiwen, eyes bloodshot, walks quickly toward me with blueprints. Boss, the water plant above can start trial operations at any time, but we've hit a problem with the load-bearing columns in the basement. We've reached the seepage layer of the Haihe River. We must immediately pour high-grade cement, and we need 6 seamless steel pipes, with a diameter of at least 20 centimeters for core support. Otherwise, once the steam engines above start running, the intense vibration will collapse the entire underground arsenal. I look at the red X on the blueprint. I'll go to 3rd Master Jean to buy the cement. But where in Tianjin would we find these seamless steel pipes? The Tianjin Machinery Bureau. They not only have these pipes, but their warehouse is also holding a batch of homogeneous steel plates intended for repairing the Dingyuan ship's armor. They were imported from the German Krupp plant 2 years ago. The officials said the dimensions were wrong, so they've been left in the warehouse gathering dust. German homogeneous steel plates. Exactly the armor material needed for the tanks. Who is the general manager of the Machinery Bureau? A comprador under Shang Xuanhui named Shen Henian. The man is extremely greedy, specializing in skimming black money from the self-strengthening movement. I nod. As long as there is greed, there is a weakness. Zhang Zuolin runs up from the 1st floor, a brand new Mauser pistol I bought at a high price tucked in his waist. The 1,000-man security force has already taken the shape of an army. Boss, a large group of imperial soldiers has arrived outside. Leading them are runners from the Tianjin prefect, along with several Frenchmen in Western clothes. They're blocking the gate and won't let the materials in. They say our water plant violates regulations and is to be sealed. My eyes turned cold. The French are using the government to pressure me. I turned and headed downstairs. Outside the main gate, hundreds of green standard soldiers had the place surrounded. ended. The governor of Tianjin sat in his sedan chair, flanked by the French counselor and Zhao Jinrong. The veterans blocked the entrance firmly. I strode out. Zhang Zuolin followed closely, hand on his holster. So you're the one posing as an overseas merchant, the rogue Fang Yu who seized prime land in the French concession? I am the governor of Tianjin. I have received a notice from the French consulate. Your water plant's chimney is too high, disturbing the peace of the French residents. Cease operations and seal the plant immediately. I didn't even look at the governor. My gaze locked onto the French counselor. This plot of land was personally approved by Lord Wu. Tell me, has the reach of the French consulate already extended into the governor's office of Great Qian? My fluent French, laced with the poised arrogance of a rising power, left them stunned. Mr. Fang, the officials of Great Qian have their own laws. We are merely lodging a protest. Your men attacked the police in the French concession yesterday. This is a grave provocation under international law. We demand the extradition of the culprit and 20,000 taels of silver for the French Empire's mental distress, as well as ownership of this land. This was the foreigner's true goal, using a pretext to seize everything. I pulled out the newspaper sent by Chu Jiangwo and slammed it into the counselor's face. International law? During the Sino-French War of 1884, your country launched a sneak attack on Maui naval port without a declaration of war. Is that your international law? You allow your police to oppress Chinese citizens in the concession, and now you come to my gate to lecture me on the law? I pointed at the governor. As a father and mother to the people, you don't stand up for the people of Great Qian, but act as a dog for foreigners. Are you blind to Lord Wu's official deed? The governor's face turned beet red from the insults. Rebellion. Pure rebellion. Men, seize this lawless traitor and execute him on the spot. The Green Standard soldiers aimed their rifles at me. Zhang Zuolin drew his Mauser. The veterans and security team raised their weapons. Over 1,000 refugees surged forward with improvised weapons. The atmosphere was electric, a powder keg ready to blow. Who dares fire? Lord Wu, drenched in sweat, stumbled out of his 8-bearer sedan. His face was pathologically flushed, his eyes fierce. The governor hurriedly bowed in fear. Lord Wu, why have you come in person? I am in the process of arresting a rogue who disturbed the foreigners. Lord Wu delivered a vicious slap across the governor's face, knocking his hat off. Boss Fang is a director of Western affairs personally appointed by me. His water plant pays tens of thousands of taels in taxes to Great Qian every year. You dare seal his plant? Do you want to cut off the Governor General of Zhili's wealth? Or cut off the Empress Dowager's income? It wasn't about the taxes at all. Today was the first of the month, the day to deliver the blue pills. Sealing the plant would be like cutting off his lifeline. Lord Wu turned to the counselor, his tone shifting to something slick. Gentlemen, this water plant matter has been filed with the Governor General's office. If the consulate has any grievances, I shall negotiate with the consul myself. But today, no one shall touch a single brick or tile of this factory. Wary of the Beiyang power, the counselor's face turned livid. Lord Wu, we shall see about this. The counselor left in disgrace with his entourage. The governor also retreated in humiliation. I had forcibly resolved the crisis using the most effective means. Lord Wu approached me with a flattering smile. Brother Fang, those arrogant lapdogs, they didn't frighten you, did they? Unobtrusively, I slipped the small metal box into his hand. His eyes lit up as he gripped it tightly. Lord Wu, the plant is nearly finished, but I still need high-grade steel for the machine bases. I heard that, in the Tianjin Machinery Bureau's warehouse, there is a batch of German homogeneous steel plates and seamless pipes. They're just sitting there rusting. Why not? Lord Wu tucked the box away. Shun Henian of the Machinery Bureau is a man who won't move unless there's a profit. However, I have some history with him. If you're willing to bleed a little, I can pull some strings for you. 20,000 silver dollars, and I guarantee I'll get that scrap steel hauled out of the Bureau's warehouse for you. Consider it my support for your Western affairs. 20,000 was a fortune, but I didn't hesitate. By this time tomorrow, 20,000 silver dollars will be delivered to your residence. I want the steel transported to the plant overnight, using silver dollars to buy military-grade armor steel. It was an incredibly profitable trade. Once the steel arrives, the world's first tracked armored vehicle will be born in my basement. Meanwhile, at the French consulate in the Tianjin concession, Councillor Henry and the chief of the Far East Trading House, Taipan Pierre, sat on the sofa. Zhao Jinrong cowered in the corner like a beaten dog, holding a glass bottle containing a caramel-colored liquid. Henry took a deep drag of his cigar. Barbarians of the Far East. That thug, Fang Yu, actually dared to refuse the demands of the great French Empire, and even bribed that greedy Lord Wu. We must pressure the Governor General's office to revoke his permit to build the plant. Pierre toyed with his wine glass. Henry, my friend, the Empire's interests in the Far East require elegant diplomacy, not the constant use of guns and cannons. However, that Fang Yu, daring to claim 350 mu of land by the high river, what exactly is he producing? Could he be secretly refining gold? Zhao Jinrong quickly scrambled forward. To let you two noble lords know, I paid a heavy price to bribe a refugee on the outskirts of the plant. From their trial-run boiler room, I stole this bottle. They say this is the Western beverage the plant is producing. The coolies call it black water. They said that Fang Yu had the audacity to claim that this black water would take the world by storm. Henry sneered. The only thing that takes the world by storm is French wine. Only the sparkling wines of Champagne are worthy of being called world-class beverages. This bitter brew made from inferior tea of Great Qian is nothing more than dishwater for pigs. Throw this trash out before it offends my eyes. Pierre remained silent. He stared at the fine bubbles dancing in the glass bottle. This is certainly no inferior product of Great Qian. He pulled the cork. Hiss. Carbon dioxide erupted, a strange aroma of vanilla and caramel sweetness, instantly overpowering the scent of the cigar. Pierre poured a small glass and took a direct sip. His body suddenly froze. His eyes widened to their limit. An intense chill and carbonic bubbles exploded in his mouth. An extreme sweetness that struck the soul washed down his throat. Stimulating, dominant, addictive. He suddenly tilted his head back and gulped down the remaining liquid.
Pierre.
Henry was startled. Are you poisoned?
Pierre pantait d'Évilly.
Staring intensely at the empty glass, sweat beading on his forehead. My God, what on earth is this? He turned to Zhao Jinrong, his eyes filled with the greedy fervor of a hungry wolf. Was this really made in that factory? Zhao Jinrong shuddered, reporting to the boss. It is absolutely true. Pierre stood up abruptly and paced back and forth. I take back what I said. This is liquid gold. No. This is more profitable than gold. French wine, compared to this monster, is nothing but an obsolete antique. Once this drink is shipped to Europe, I believe in less than a month, the entire high society of Paris and London will go wild for it. This is a magic potion that makes people addicted. He leaned his hands on the table. Low-cost water, added with cheap sugar and some unknown spices, yields profits dozens or even hundreds of times over. As long as we control this formula, the entire world's beverage market will be completely monopolized. The fervor in Pierre's eyes cooled, replaced by an extreme, cold calculation. Henry, what you did yesterday was right. That Fang Yu and that 350-acre water plant must absolutely not remain in the hands of the Qing people. A formula capable of changing the global trade landscape can only belong to France. Henry sneered, but Lord Wu of the General Bureau of Maritime Customs is protecting him. He has over 1,000 security guards. A forced seizure would provoke protests from the Qing Foreign Ministry. Pierre acted as if he'd heard the greatest joke. Protests from the Great Qian Empire? In the face of France's iron ships and cannons, they aren't even worth a piece of shoe-wiping paper. That Lord Wu is nothing but a fat pig who only recognizes money. As long as the governor's office and Li Zhongtong side with us, Lord Wu is nothing. Pierre took out a checkbook, signed it, and pushed it forward. In the name of the Far East Trading House, I am providing 100,000 taels of silver. Go grease the palms of the officials at the Tianjin Dao Magistrate's office and the governor's office. Tell them the black water produced by Fang Yu contains deadly poison and is used to poison the people of Great Qian. Coordinate with the consuls of various nations to pressure the Qian government. Force them to hand over the land deeds and the formula of the water plant. If the Qian government does not cooperate, I will report back home and dispatch 2 cruisers to the Daegu forts, using the protection of expatriates as a pretext to forcibly take over that wasteland. Understood. Henry took the check. I will let that Fang Yu know who exactly calls the shots in Tianjin. At the same time, in the secret underground warehouse of the Tianjin Machine Bureau, I wore a black trench coat, looking at the piles surrounding me like small mountains of German Krupp homogeneous armored steel plates. Lord Wu stood aside, holding 20,000 silver dollars. Shen Henian, the director of the Machine Bureau, pushed his gold-rimmed glasses. Boss Fang, this is original German steel. The Great Qian Empire cannot find a second batch.
22 dollars.
Only because Lord Wu spoke highly of you did I practically give this to you for free. If you use this to build factory walls, it would be a complete waste of treasure. I touched the cold, hard steel. With this batch of steel, my light assault vehicle will have the strongest shell. Don't worry, I will make sure it's put to its best use. At midnight tonight, my men will bring carriages to pick up the goods, transporting them directly from the south gate into the water plant's basement. I'll trouble you 2 lords to handle the checkpoints along the way. Lord Wu patted his chest. Rest assured, brother. Every soldier in the south city of Tianjin will be blind tonight. Late at night, water plant basement. 6 seamless steel pipes buried deep underground. High-grade cement solidified quickly. The foundation load-bearing was completely stabilized. In a private compartment, I quietly opened the space-time portal. Chu Jiangwo and the technicians were pushing through a disassembled, small diesel generator set, securing it in place. Li Jiyuan leading several naval students, shirtless, straining to pull the mechanical components. They didn't know what it was, only that it was a divine tool the Great Qian couldn't build. The last piece. Li Jiyuan pulled out the high-pressure water pump. Boss, all generator components have been received. Give me 3 hours. I guarantee this basement will light up with foreign electric lamps. I handed over the blueprints. Zhang Zuolin came rushing down the stairs, out of breath. Master, sensing something was wrong, I stepped aside. What happened? Zhang Zuolin lowered his voice. Something happened in the South City. The veteran took men to pick up the steel plates from the machine bureau, but they were intercepted on the street. My gaze instantly sharpened. Didn't Lord Wu handle the patrol camp? Who intercepted them? Not the patrol camp. Zhang Zuolin gritted his teeth. It was the people from the Tianjin Dao Magistrate's office, and a squad of French police with foreign rifles, led by that French counselor. They seized all the carriages transporting the steel, and tied up the veteran, claiming they seized a batch of smuggled military materials. They intend to use the charge of rebellion to raid our water plant overnight. My fist clenched tightly. The foreigners act fast and viciously, slapping on a rebellion charge to pull us out by the roots. Local officials of Great Qian, just to please the foreigners, actually cooperate in stealing Chinese steel. If the steel is lost, the vehicle project is ruined, and the veteran will be tortured to death. Zhang Zuolin, assemble the security force. Master, are we going to fight the foreigners and the soldiers? A bloodthirsty light flashed in Zhang Zuolin's eyes. No. Prepare a pack of coke for me. I need to go out. You lead the men to guard the factory gates. Anyone who dares cross the wall, whether they are Qian officials or French soldiers, kill them all. Late at night, a carriage quietly drove toward the British consulate. Inside the carriage, I held an insulated box containing 6 bottles of ice-cold coke. In my inner pocket was a full set of forged documents from Chu Jiangwo. The carriage stopped in front of the consulate. 2 British soldiers raised their rifles. Halt! Consulate grounds, no unauthorized entry. I stepped out of the carriage, pulled out a deep blue passport with the U.S. seal and handed it over. Fang Yu, boss of the Stars and Stripes Trading House. Fang Yu, I have a military trade deal involving £1 million, and need an immediate meeting with the British Consul General in Tianjin. Sir Carl, seeing the eagle emblem and the signature, the soldier swallowed hard and ran to report. 10 minutes later, I was ushered into a luxurious drawing room. Sir Carl descended the stairs in a dressing gown. He tossed a passport onto the coffee table. Mr. Fang, a visit in the dead of night, claiming to represent the city trading house. But I've checked the list of American merchant ships that recently entered the port. Your name is not on it. I pulled out a chair and sat down. I entered the port secretly aboard a Dutch merchant ship. I placed an insulated box on the coffee table. I am here to deliver a generous gift to the British Empire. A gift that will completely break the French in the Far East. Sir Carl narrowed his eyes. Any opportunity to strike the French is highly appealing to Britain. Why don't you get straight to the point? I opened the insulated box. I took out a chilled bottle of Coke and pushed it toward him. This is the latest military beverage developed by the United States. The French are trying to steal its formula. They bribed the Tianjin Daotai. Half an hour ago, they seized the construction materials for my factory and kidnapped my people. Sir Carl looked at the bottle. A single drink would make the French go to such lengths? Mr. Fang, French wine is world-renowned. They wouldn't be interested in some American sugar water. You're trying to incite conflict between the British Empire and France, but your excuse is far too clumsy. Without a word, I popped the cork. Pop! Carbon dioxide surged out. I poured a small glass and pushed it over. Sir Carl hesitated. He picked up the glass and took a sip. Ice-cold bubbles exploded. The hit of caramel and spices rushed straight to his head. He froze, then suddenly tilted his head back and drained the glass. His mind became incredibly sharp. A surge of dopamine brought an indescribable pleasure. He set down the glass, his hand trembling slightly. What on earth is this? I leaned back in my chair. This is called Coca-Cola. Can replace black tea, replace coffee, replace wine, and become the most profitable commodity in the world. Its cost is ridiculously low. The profits can be hundreds of times over. Every French vineyard will go bankrupt before it, and the British Empire's fleet can sell this drink to every corner of the globe. Sir Carl instantly realized its terrifying commercial value. His breathing quickened. What do you want? An American merchant wouldn't just give this gold mine to the British Empire for free. I built a factory of 350 mu along the high river. The French grew envious. They colluded with the Tianjin Daotai. Not only did they seize my steel, but they also captured my foreman. My gaze turned cold. I need the British Empire to intervene, force the Daotai to return the people and the steel immediately, and ensure that the French concession police never dare step foot in my factory again. Sir Carl rubbed his chin. Just that? Getting you out of this is easy. But what about the formula? How do you plan to share these massive profits with us? I placed a document written entirely in English on the table. This is a letter of intent. Jardine Matheson of the British Empire will gain exclusive agency rights for Coca-Cola in Asia and Oceania. I handle production. You handle sales. We split all profits 50-50. I stood up. This is my bottom line. Sir Carl, I don't lack money. I simply don't want to waste my time dealing with French thugs. If you refuse, I'll go to the German consulate immediately. I believe Emperor Wilhelm would be very interested in a military beverage that sharpens the mind. Sir Carl's expression changed. He pressed his hand down on the letter of intent. Deal. He rang the bell on the table. A British major walked in. Major William immediately mobilized 2 companies of Marines. Bring the Maxim guns. Escort Mr. Fang back to his water plant. Additionally, prepare the carriage. I shall visit the Tianjin Daotai's yamen personally. A sinister glint flashed in his eyes. Tell that fool of a Daotai, if he doesn't return the American merchants' goods and personnel unscathed, the warships of the British Empire will bombard the Daegu forts tomorrow morning. The main hall of the Tianjin Daotai's yamen. An old soldier knelt on the ground, hands tied behind his back. He had taken a dozen lashes, skin torn, but didn't utter a sound. Daotai Lord Sun sat behind the official desk. Counselor Henry sat beside him, clutching a cigar. You peasant. Lord Sun slammed the gavel. Those homogeneous steel plates hidden in the plant's basement are clearly rebel supplies for forging weapons. Tell me, is that Fang Yu planning a rebellion? Where exactly is the formula hidden? The old soldier spat out a mouthful of blood. Kill me if you want. Stop your damn lying. Henry sneered. Lord Sun, for a stubborn bone like this, if we don't use some means, he will never speak. I suggest the branding iron. Before he could finish, the sound of rapid bolt actions and military boots echoed from outside. The bailiffs rushed in, stumbling and crawling. My lord, something's wrong. The foreigners have stormed in. Lord Sun jumped up in terror. Aren't the French soldiers outside helping us guard the place? Where did these foreigners come from? It's the British sepoys and the Marines. The doors were kicked open. British soldiers stormed in with rifles, locking down the room. Sir Carl strode in. I followed by his side. Henry stood up, his face pale. Sir Carl, what are you doing? This is a matter between France and the Qing government. Sir Carl ignored him. With one swipe, he knocked the gavel to the floor. Lord Sun. His voice was peak arrogance. The British Empire has received a note from the American legation. The property of Mr. Fang Yu, a legal merchant of the United States, has been illegally seized within your jurisdiction. He pointed at the old soldier. Release him. Return those steel materials to Mr. Fang's factory immediately. 1 minute of delay, and the British fleet will open fire. Lord Sun shook like a sieve. He didn't dare utter a single word. Release. Release him now. The bailiffs hurriedly untied the old soldier. I took off my suit jacket and draped it over the soldier's blood-stained back. I helped him up to head back. What about the tens of thousands of pounds of steel plates? Lord Sun wiped away cold sweat. They're here. All in the warehouse in the backyard. This official will send men. No. I will personally escort the shipment to Boss Fang. Henry trembled. Sir Carl, you are openly provoking the interests of the French Empire. Sir Carl turns around. Counselor Henry, the exclusive Far East distribution rights for Coca-Cola have already been signed over to the British Empire's Jardine Matheson. Those disgraceful, thuggish tactics of yours had better be kept in check. If you dare disrupt the water plant again, what you will face will be the cannons of the British Royal Navy. I support the old soldier and turn. I glance at the ash-faced Henry and the governor cowering behind the desk. No one takes what belongs to me. A dozen heavy carriages laden with steel plates headed toward the water plant, escorted by 200 British Marines.